We're gone deeper into the woods today because this is a deeper subject. I want to talk about something that's very integral to paganism in a very spiritual level. This is the idea of the family tree. Now, you hear about the family tree all the time, this idea of the genealogy held within a chart showing whose father was who and whose son was who and who was married to who and who's sire to who. That's based on a very literal interpretation of something called the family tree. Now, I was talking to some friends yesterday. It started when we were talking about a friend of mine here in Ireland told me about someone who'd been cured who had, I was either Ayurvedic or Chinese medicine placed into their navel with a cotton bud to help, and it did cure them of an illness. Now, this is important. We're going to talk about the navel here. It makes perfect sense when you think about it that the navel is used it's an energy input device. It's almost like the USB port of your energy system. To use a crude technological analogy, but there's people out there who still need these kinds of things in order to bring them to paganism, unfortunately. But to just think of it as that, or a plug socket in a wall, and use a more analog type sense. Now, the family tree was quite literally in a pagan thing, a family tree. The patriarch or matriarch of the family, or when they settled in a new area, or they found a place where they were happy, in their immediate environment, they would plant on the grave of the matriarch or the patriarch of the family a sapling. You see in the picture of this one, I posted a small holly sapling I found just over there, and the holly sapling was used because the holly is slow growth. It has a slow growth, so it was an ideal species for a family. I've got like hawthorns sticking in me here. An ideal species for a family tree. Now, the oak was used, the ash was used, the elm was used, and so on. In Europe, I'm talking about now. Now, this was so significant why St. Boniface attacked Donar's oak in central Germany in order to enforce the Christian death cult upon pagan Europeans before they pumped them full of arrows, just like John Chow was righteously pumped with arrows by the people on Sentinel Island a few weeks ago for spreading this vile death cult from the Middle East into people who didn't need it and were damaged by it. Did you also hear that the people in Sentinel Island and the farmers, the fishermen who claimed that they saw a demon around them? See, that's the same demon that infects Christian evangelists. You've got to be very careful, these Christian evangelists. They carry a demon with them. And so I just saw something in the corner of my eye then. And so do the jihadists. They carry a jinn. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. So the tree grew upon the grave of the matriarch or the patriarch of the family. And as the tree grew, a generation was born, and upon the tree would be hung or tied. In the Germanic paganism, it was wrapped around the bark, and that's why removing bark was punishable by death in pagan Germany. The umbilical cords of the later generation were literally hung upon the family tree. To express gratitude to the matriarch or patriarch buried below the roots, thanking them for giving all this life and creating all this wonderful things for us. And that's what because the umbilical cord connected from the mother to the child in the womb was seen as the symbolic branch of the family tree. And then nowadays, since the Christians came along, it was replaced with a literal family tree of genealogies written out as genealogies. So the family tree evolved into what we have today, but its original origins were a pagan literal tree planted on the grave of a patriarch or matriarch on which umbilical cords were hung. And this is why our pagan ancestors understood the beauty of the umbilical cord. It was the mother's energy force into the child, but also the navel. It represented the navel as the energy force into the adult. Now, I'm always telling you, be very careful who you have sex with. It's better to have no sex and just fap than have sex with someone you don't know or trust, or you should really be having sex with people who do love you and have have nothing but kindness and gratitude for you. And I'll tell you why. Remember when I spoke a few weeks ago about when you make love in the missionary position, that this is why all the porn, and they want everything doggy styling and anal and all this stuff. That all ironically came from Christianity. They do not want us having a sexual spiritual experience. So when the man and the woman make the love, the belly button's touch, the navel's touch. Remember, and while he's giving her energy through his foreskin, you can do it if he's uncircumcised, but it's much more powerful with the foreskin because it's like all the nerve endings on it. She's grounding him. Remember, it's symbolically she's Mother Earth, he's Father Sky. She's grounding him. At the same time, she is firing her love and affection into him through the navel. She's becoming a sort of a symbolic mother during Les Morts Petites, the little death. And so he's being, this is of course if she cares about him and loves him, it's a quick wham bam thank you ma'am, that's just energy depleted, that has gone nowhere. At least when you're masturbating, you can, male or female, you can use that psychic charge for magical ritual purposes. That thing represents nothing. It's a depletion of energy. That's why women who are promiscuous age very badly, and that's why men who are promiscuous and don't have meaningful relationships also age very badly as well. It's a transference of energy based on love. You see, the atheists don't believe that love is anything other than a chemical imbalance designed to make you look after your DNA repository. But love is much deeper. Love is a very rare thing in this world. For everyone talking about love this, love the unconditional love is a very rare thing in this world, and it's not, and it's even sexually, it has to be expressed in that manner. When the next time you're making love to the person you love, be conscious of your energy charge as a man going into her, and be conscious of you as a woman sending your energy charge, not only if you love the person, otherwise into him through your navel. It's sexual healing in the sort of the sense of the Marvin Gaye song. So the family tree meant so much to the family. It was the roots down there is where the family came from, and this is where the Christian cross came from. The branches below are only are symbolic of the branches below, and the Christians cut down the sacred oaks and the sacred groves, being monsters, absolute poisonous monsters that they are, and replaced it with a stick that a Semitic fanatic was nailed to by the Romans and told them that was their desert god and the only path to salvation. It's a terrible thing that has been done to us as Europeans, but people like me and others are bringing it back. We're bringing back the snake. So always remember that one. Your navel is very important. It is the place for where many sort of natural medicines and cures, and even tummy rubs, belly rubs, to make you feel emotionally better. Secondly, it's symbolic of the umbilical cord, which was part of the family. Decorate when you put the garlands on a Christmas tree. Well, in the old days, we're back to see the video yesterday about the real rites of the pagan rites of Christmas. They would have been, they're symbolic of the garlands are symbolic of the umbilical cords that were draped on the family tree in the backyard. Now you realize how beautiful paganism is and why I feel so passionate about bringing it back. Wouldn't you rather live a life according to what I just told you than being told that sex is evil and sinful and it's the vice of the devil, and the trees must be cut down and replaced with crucifixes held up by a paedophile who now is telling you your God is from the Middle East and you will burn in the fires of hell if you don't do as he says? Isn't paganism much more beautiful? Don't you want to be a pagan now? You think about that. And I'm not telling you how you should live. I'm not telling you what to be. This is ultimately your own choice. But remember, the roots above you are symbolic of the roots below. And a man or a woman without a lineage that goes back to very ancient times is merely just a blip on a radar screen of history. But if you know you're part of a fantastic continuum, that through your veins flows the blood of the Vikings, through your veins flows the blood of the Anglo-Saxons, the Celts, the Iceni, the Germanic tribes, the Teutons, the Eastern tribes, the Indo-Europeans. They've got the same blood in your veins that they've built these incredible structures in India and these incredible structures all over Europe. You've got that in your veins. Your ancestry is not some semi-castrated Hebrew nailed to a cross in the Middle East. And that's your only path to salvation. Your path to salvation is to carry forth the blood and the honor that you brought, your pagan ancestors gave you, and you should carry that into the future. Because you want to know something, if you want to defeat this transhumanist thing, if you want to transcend it, now you're only going to defeat it as an individual, you're not going to defeat it as a masses. You want that, look behind me, that's the cure. Look inside yourself, that's the cure. And honor your blood, honor your traditions. Now, if you have family members you don't like, you don't have to like them. I'm telling you, your family tree goes not just back to your parents and your grandparents, it goes back generations. You have warriors in your past. Find the warrior inside you and remember what you are meant to be.